Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating piece of analysis from Movie Lantern, and it completely flips the script on a story you probably thought you already understood. We're going to look back at the late 1990s and uncover a hidden, almost prophetic message buried right inside one of the most talked about cultural touchstones of that entire decade.
It's a question definitely worth asking. I mean, think back to the massive pop culture phenomena of the 1990s. You probably remember the noise, the chaos, the pure shock value, right? But what if all that surface level chaos was actually just a smokescreen? What if the intense, abrasive story we all remember was secretly hiding a deeply profound warning about the exact future we are living in right now? To figure out how we got here, let's start with Section 1, the Great Fight Club Myth. And this brilliantly illustrates the divide. When this story first dropped, the public instantly latched onto the myth. This chaotic narrative all about rebellion, raw masculinity, and violence. It was loud. It was aggressive. But over time, analysts realized the reality was entirely different. Actually, scratch that. It's almost the exact opposite. Underneath all the shouting, the source material is really this remarkably quiet sociological look at emptiness, endless consumption, and emotional numbness.
Which brings us to Section 2, the real villain is emptiness. Just look at this quote describing the main character. He buys furniture to feel complete, works a job he hates, and drifts through life disconnected from any real sense of identity. I really want you to think about that for a second. It completely humanizes his mindset. At his core, he isn't some hardened warrior. He's just an average guy trying to fill this massive void in his soul with, like, coffee tables and couch cushions. He's completely unmoored, just drifting.
Because the true enemy here isn't another person. It's a life built entirely around consumption, routine, and emotional numbness. This soul-crushing, day-in, day-out routine, that's the actual antagonist of the story. It literally drains the protagonist until he's left totally hollow. It's like this invisible weight of a society telling you exactly who you're supposed to be, exactly what you're supposed to buy, leaving absolutely no room for who you actually are.
And that shifts our focus directly to us, right now in Section 3, a warning for today. Now, what's really interesting about this is how seamlessly the narrator's 90s consumerism has evolved into our modern daily lives. The analysis points out that society is constantly pushing us toward these exact same symptoms. Only today, well, we aren't just endlessly consuming physical furniture from catalogs, right? We're consuming digital content. We're chasing online validation. We spend just enormous amounts of energy on these carefully constructed identities, curating the perfect version of our lives for an audience of total strangers. The medium has changed, sure, but that underlying emptiness, it's exactly the same. And it creates this staggering modern paradox. On one hand, we have more entertainment, more advanced technology, and way more ways to connect with each other than at any other point in human history. Yet, the reality is that people still feel incredibly lost and disconnected. Having all these shiny tools at our fingertips hasn't magically cured the numbness. If anything, that same feeling of emptiness still exists on a massive societal scale. It's like we're digitally linked, but completely personally isolated.
And that kind of isolation leads somewhere pretty dark. Let's look at Section 4, the danger of belonging.
To really understand this danger, we have to look at the story's most famous element. Tyler Durden shouldn't just be viewed as this literal, cool character in a leather jacket. Instead, think of him as a concept. He represents the extreme reaction to societal emptiness. He's this ultimate desperate fantasy of breaking free from a system that feels completely artificial and meaningless. You see, when a society feels like a cage, human nature is going to eventually invent a way to try and break the bars, even if that method is deeply, deeply destructive.
Let's move on and see exactly how this builds into the terrifying pipeline this source material warned us about. It starts simple with step 1, personal rebellion. You feel unhappy, so you lash out in small ways just to reclaim your identity. But when that doesn't fix the underlying numbness, it festers into step 2, deep frustration and alienation. You start feeling like the whole world is fundamentally broken. And then, because we humans are so desperate for meaning and a place to belong, that alienation gets weaponized into step 3, organized extremism. It is a shockingly simple slippery slope, from just wanting to feel something real to getting swept up in something incredibly dangerous.
And the reason this analysis is just absolutely crucial right now is that we've introduced modern accelerants to this exact pipeline. The source notes that in our current digital age, online communities, influencers, and radical movements can shape a person's identity faster than ever before. When someone is desperately searching for purpose, these digital forces just step right in to provide immediate meaning and an instant sense of belonging. The underlying mechanics haven't changed at all. They've just been completely supercharged by the internet.
Which all brings us to our final realization in Section 5, the ultimate takeaway. So, the crucial point is the simple, unshakable equation. The more disconnected people become from themselves, the more vulnerable they become. Think about it. When you strip away the job you hate, the things you buy, and that online profile you so carefully manage, if there's nothing solid left underneath, you are at serious risk.
And exactly what are you vulnerable to? Well, the source makes it crystal clear. Manipulation, obsession, extremes. Because if you don't know who you are, someone else will happily step in and tell you who you are. The reason this story continues to resonate decades later is because underneath all that superficial chaos, it captured a foundational human problem that never went away. We are always searching for meaning. And if we can't find it within ourselves, we're going to grab onto whatever or whoever offers it to us first. Which leaves us with this final thought to really chew on. Take a look at your own life. In an age of absolute hyperconnection, are our modern digital tools actually the very things leaving us most vulnerable to manipulation? Have we just replaced a catalog of furniture with an endless feed of content while the emptiness quietly grows? It's something we all need to deeply question as we navigate this artificial system. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.